So one of the first things we're going to do is implement our trestle here, which is the microengineering trestle, but we're going to use the Kato trestle bridges. Hopefully it should be 10 centimeters, it's just about on 10 centimeters to the bottom, and that's what we're hoping for. 10 centimeters brings us to here, basically this joint here. So what I'm going to do is cut this there and there, and it still gives a reasonable sized trestle. Obviously I'd like it as big as possible, but that's just not possible on that depth of layout. So basically I'll cut these to there and start constructing them. Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and this is the fluidity of your layout. And although I've said that the original plan was to have two sections of the bents, I call them bents, but maybe they're called legs or something, but actually I would really like to have three, because the higher it looks the better. So my plan is to insert a lower piece of layout baseboard in, and then effectively what will happen is I can kind of dip down to it. And I've seen this on a few layouts, and I think this is really what I want to do. So at the moment I'm going to modify the add a layout baseboard to it, take a little bit of an extension off the layout. There was a tiny extension on the side, and somehow get a lower dip so I can have a canyon, and I think it will look absolutely brilliant. I have seen, I did say I have seen layouts with only one section of the leg bent, and I think that looks silly. I just don't think it looks good at all. So hopefully I shall go from two sections or depths, I think each one is 2 inches, to 3 or even more maybe. Let's have a look. So yeah, that just looks silly because you would normally have like a stone pilaster or pile. 2 looks all right, but to be more spectacular I think 3 would be absolutely brilliant, even if I can get as close to 3 as possible. So that's the plan. So thank you very much, Microengineering, for making me think about that. That's what I'm going to try and do. Now I need to reformulate and reconstruct some of my baseboards, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we were looking at the Microengineering tall steel viaduct, which is this, and you can see a picture of it there in its full glory, and I have seen this on quite a lot of layouts, and it looks absolutely brilliant, very spectacular when it's all painted up. So how to do this? So what I've started to do is modify the layout so that I can have a dip in the layout, so a lower part of the layout. And I've seen this done a few times. Because I'm not sure how exactly it's constructed, I've had to assume, and I'll show you what I've done. So here is the bit of layout I've now, or the layout board I've modified. This will hang lower, so I'll have to manufacture lower legs for it. And if we go over there and ignore the mess, ignore that long bit, that's for the steel mill that's going to go on the end. But I've started to modify the layout. In fact, I've started to butcher it really, so that I can add the lower bit onto it and reinforce it, and effectively then the track that's curved that next to the glue bowl, that's the one that's going to have this spectacular trestle on it, and then there will be three tracks just in front of that. And the way I will do that is I'll have a riverbed on this, and then I'll use Kato bridges. So if we look over there, these guys here, I think one double and one single will look really good crossing the span. So less so much of the river there on that part, but actually this bit is going to have a very nice riverbed on it, and that's my plan. So we're going from that height of layout to a much lower height, back up again on a narrow straight bit across there, and then it will eventually join up with that, and I've got a second baseboard to be constructed down there. So that is the plan. I'm going to start fixing the baseboards together and see what I can end up with. So the only way I can think to do this is to attach some plywood to the ends of the extra bit of baseboard, and then it will allow that to attach to the baseboard and hang down. And then I can, if I've added more than I need, I can adjust that accordingly. And it's done. Okay, so here's a rough mock-up of my very latest thinking regarding the bridges and how to cross this chasm. So a nice double bridge at the back, which looks fine. It's not going to hide the main piece, which is this bridge in the middle. I'm obviously missing another Kato bridge piece there, which I've got on order. You guys might remember this spare bit of rock face from an earlier video, actually, so I'm going to reuse that somewhere in the canyon. And then what to do with the front two pieces here, two tracks. So I think I realised I can't really fit a decent bridge there. It's going to have to go on this part. I shall think about it and see what I can do. So as you can see, the bent fits the full length of it. These are the Kato trestle bridge. I've removed the railings from the other side because you can't really see, no one's really going to see the other side, you can't see how it looks. It doesn't look ideal, but from this side it looks better. Then with these, well, what options have I got? I don't want a large girder bridge like that, because basically it will detract from the view of this guy in the middle. So I'm gonna have to make up, as much as I didn't want to, more of these because they're very, very small, and use these here. I've used the Kato track conversion set there, and that's the way the gorge is going to look. So we're going to need bridge abutments, lots of different ones, as we're going to have basically actually 3 bridges together in one part. We're going to make these and see if we can use these effectively. So this is the Wolfers N-scale bridge abutment 2-pack. This confused me because I'm always thinking you get 2 abutments, but actually what I think you get is 1 single track and 1 double track. And looking at them, they're actually the size of my hand, they're actually pretty big. So let's open the pack and see what we get. I'm hoping it isn't one or the other. I'm sort of hoping it actually is 1 set of each. Yep, great instructions. Bridge abutments, wonderful stuff. Let's have a look, see what we get. Should be quite simple to construct, and they're already in the very concrete-y colour, which is great. Yeah, they're very simple. Right, let's make them up. Let's see what we get. So you get 2 doubles, which are pretty massive actually, and 2 singles, which are still pretty big. You might be able to get a double bridge on there, but so let's cut these up and see what we get. Right, I've only made one up, and this is one of the smaller ones. That will be sanded down. To see how big it is, I can tell you that is absolutely huge. That's absolutely massive. That's like mountainous. So I'm gonna not make the rest up for now, see where it fits on my layout against the bridges that I intend to use, which are Kato single and double track bridges, and then I'll see where it fits. So for my other abutments, I've got these plaster casts, and you can see they paint up beautifully. As you know, plaster casts are actually, these are hydrocal because they're very light, very easy to manipulate. You can basically sand them down or cut them actually. You can cut bits out of them if you need to, like that. Actually, like then there, that was done there so a bridge can fit. And actually what I did was, I don't remember where I got these. I made a latex mold out of one of them, probably that one, because it looks better than the rest. Just by putting, if you see my rock molds video, it's the same sort of thing. Just by putting about, I would say 5 or 6 layers of latex. You have to put one layer on, it looks like white, and then it goes yellow. Wait for it to dry, that takes quite a few hours. Layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5, I think it's 5 or 6 layers there. Then effectively I replicated that mold. When you replicate them, that's the original one. The detail is not as good, you can see that. But what you can do, it gets you out of trouble in a pinch. These are the originals, I think. It gets you out of trouble in a pinch if you desperately need to have more of these and you can't get them. And then what you can also do is you can carve with a sharp implement. You can carve into them very easily and just increase the detail or amend the detail. And of course, if you've got some that look the same, it's very easy to carve them and change them around to make them look different. So I think that one's got capstones on it and that one hasn't, so they're different. I've also 3D printed an abutment, and when that's ready we'll have a look at that. But I rather like these are good, and then they fit very well. They're quite good, they're very easy to use, and they're not as absolutely massive as the Walthers ones which you've seen. In the same sort of vein, I've also got this central brick, central block on stone pier. I think that's more stone than brick. It's been pre-weathered by me and rescued from another place. So if I have a problem with the central pier between the two spans, so for example this sort of arrangement here where I'm only going to use one of these, then I can use this. And again, the detailing is lovely. You can easily cut bricks out, cut blocks out and change it around if you think it looks a bit samey. So here's the Walthers thing for a size comparison, and bear in mind it does have the cut lines that you can actually cut it down in size, which looking at the size of this I would probably have to do. This is the plaster cast, actually it's hydrocal, it's really light, equivalent of a double bridge pier. It might be a single, but it looks like a double. So you see there's the size differences. No, it is a double because it's the same. The size difference is absolutely huge. So I shall just have to see what fits best. Let's compare them to the Kato bridge holders, which can also be used as abutments if you use a little adapter there. These have been weathered, so like rusty concrete, dirty concrete, and these are as they come. Concrete colour, pretty good. For me it could be slightly yellower, but it's grey plastic, it looks okay. No mould marks. But yeah, when they're weathered they look a bit like that. And you can use them as abutments by using the top adapter plus the clips to keep the bridges secure, which you haven't got on all the other ones. So these are the Kato ones. If we run out of space with the Walthers, we may well use these. So I think we will end this update here. I'm going to have to make more of these, so my plan to use the Kato track didn't really work because one way or another I'm going to have to make these. I've used some old Minitrix Code 83 track there. It needs cleaning up, it's not very good, but it will work. And then, as you can see, we're back to the abutments, and we have plenty of those. They've all got to be put in. I shall remove some of the bridges from there, probably add one in the corner there just for interest, and that will probably form the next update. So thanks for watching.